Our next presenter is Emily Malcolm. Her presentation is titled Dietary Fat and Heart Disease. Where does the fat go?
About 600,000 people die in the United States every year from heart disease. That's 1 in every 4 deaths. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and for women. One of the risk factors that has been strongly associated with heart disease is high plasma triglycerides. These are the levels of fat in our blood from our diet. When we eat fat, whether it's an avocado or a tasty bacon-wrapped turkey leg from the Iowa State Fair, the fat is broken down in our intestine and repackaged into a big ball of fat and protein called a chylomicron, which travels through the bloodstream. When it reaches the tissues, the fat is broken down again and taken up. Heart and skeletal muscle use this fat for fuel, whereas fat tissue stores the fat for later. The problem is, when we have too much fat in our diet, the fat levels in our blood increase. Fat tissue can't store all of the fat that's available, so heart and skeletal muscle start taking up more fat than they should, particularly if we don't exercise enough. For heart, all this excess fat, it tries to store until it can use it, but more fat keeps coming in. For a muscle like the heart, which needs to beat constantly with very little rest between beats, all this excess fat gets in the way and it leads to heart disease. A further problem is that there are very few treatments that target plasma triglycerides directly. My work uses animal models to study how we digest and use the fat from our diet. I've characterized a new pathway by which fat is cleared from the blood. This pathway is happening normally, but at a very low rate, which is why it hadn't been identified previously. It's normally suppressed by a protein called angiopoietin-like 4. When we block this protein, fat uptake into fat tissue increases and fat uptake to heart decreases. This is an exciting finding because it gives us a way to target plasma triglycerides directly without having negative consequences for heart. In future, our lab is working to develop new drugs that will allow us to target angiopoietin-like 4 and reduce the risk of heart disease. Thank you.